If you are in your 30s and single, you are in good company. Just under a quarter of men and women around the world in this particular age group are single, even though I know it doesn't always feel like it, right? Today we are going to explore practical and positive ways to embrace and also cope with being single in your 30s. Because the aim of this video, and actually the aim of this channel, is not just to survive in your 30s, but it's also to thrive. I think singleness in this particular age group is a little bit different and unique than being single in your 20s. I would love to share some tips that have helped me, in particular in my 30s, learn how to embrace and also thrive in my singleness. You might have clicked on this video and actually your life is the definition of relationship goals. You have someone that you love and you are enjoying life as a non-single person. Great, happy for you. However, you can pass on this information to a 30-something in need that you know. Make notes for them, send them the link. I promise you, you're going to know at least one person that this video can have an impact on. Embracing your singleness means accepting and appreciating your current situation. Sometimes that's hard. I realize that. And I am preaching to the choir with this one, okay? You can, no matter what the world has told you, no matter what friends and family have told you, you can enjoy a meaningful and fulfilled life as a single person, I promise. So let's break down what it practically means to embrace this incredible single season that you're in 5 tips. Tip number 1. Celebrate your independence. Have your own personal Independence Day if you want. Get some fireworks, eat a hot dog, not that kind of hot dog. For real, let's be objective here, okay? Freedom is a really precious thing, and oftentimes we don't actually value it until it's taken away from us. The only line I ever hear from married people is, enjoy the freedom while you can. Enjoy that time while you can. Enjoy not having to answer to anyone while you can. But if we're honest, oftentimes we don't actually do this. We take all of those things for granted because our whole focus is trying to get into a relationship so we don't have to be single anymore. Why don't we, for once, actually make the most of having all this free time that we have, having to not bring another person into all the decisions? We can literally go and do whatever we want, and all we have to answer to is us. You can go on a vacation out of the blue just because you want to. You can splurge on that most ridiculously expensive Thai restaurant that you absolutely love. You can go travel. You can go literally do anything. But what do we usually do? We usually sit at home wallowing in the fact that we are single instead of making the most of the season that we are in. Let's recognize the freedom and flexibility that comes with being single. And let's take advantage of all the opportunities that we have as a single person. Wow, this camera makes my arms look really long. Tip number 2. Don't allow people in relationships to marginalize you. Now, I feel super passionate about this tip, in particular for people in their 30s, and here's why. I don't know about you, but I have found a massive difference in how married people and also my friends in relationships treated me during the times I was single in my 20s compared to being a single woman right now in my 30s. For some reason, I get treated as a much larger threat now to my friends' marriages and my friends' relationships than I ever did before. And I literally have the evidence to back this up. Even people I've known since I was a kid, okay? It's like they suddenly think I've morphed in some thirsty cougar that wants to pounce on their man. This hasn't been just an experience of mine, but I've also actually seen this happen to other people as well. I've also sadly heard people's names being brought up in conversations who are in their 30s and single. I've heard their names being brought up in a way to red letter them just because they weren't in a relationship. They often get labeled as someone to watch out for because somehow they pose a threat to the other person's boyfriend or husband just by existing and being single. I think that's so bad, and I think it's time to call it out. I have been really surprised and shocked witnessing this stigma firsthand myself. People I have been friends with for years, suddenly they don't want anything to do with me. They unfriend me on Facebook, they don't talk to me anymore, all because my singleness as a woman presents a massive deal breaker to them. And you know what? In every friendship that I have, I am always respectful, especially to people who are in relationships. But now I'm caught in this constant cycle of being aware of how I am in front of others what I say, how I say it, how my body language is. And it's just ridiculous because I'm overthinking all the time. The reason why I do this is because I've seen women literally make things up on me. Or I've seen a girl's friend, for example, report back to her that I was talking to her boyfriend or her husband in front of people for 60 seconds. Or I've liked a post on Facebook or Instagram. Like, these things are absurd. All because I'm single. And it's really weird because I've never given anyone any reason or cause to treat me this way, and I would never cross a boundary. And yet people are putting a red letter on me just because of my relationship status. I seem to be hemorrhaging male friendships in my 30s. Year after year after year. It's actually getting comical. So what's my tip after all of that? Embrace the single season that you're in and stand up for yourself and other people that are being talked about who are single too. If you hear somebody talking about you or talking about a single friend in an unjustifiably negative way, pull them up on it. Don't let it slide. We single people need to have each other's backs, especially in our 30s where there's so much pressure. However, on the flip side of this, if we see a single friend unintentionally flirting with someone else's husband or boyfriend or wife or girlfriend, we can lovingly, when we're alone with them, point it out. Because you know what? There are some people that are naturally flirty. 2 of them live in my household, okay? I've seen it. And it's okay just to make someone aware of how they're coming across. Basically, let's just be transparent, okay? And not label every single person with a red letter just because they are single and because you feel like they are a threat to your relationship. Not all of us are, okay? There are some that you need to watch out for, but the majority of us are not trying to steal your man, your woman, your wife, your girlfriend, your husband, your boyfriend. We're not trying to do that, okay? If you are finding this video helpful so far, you know the drill. It helps me so much if you press on that subscribe, if you like and you share the video. This really helps me be able to keep doing what I'm doing. Number 3, focus on personal development. Along with the freedom that we spoke about earlier, us single people have so much more time than anyone else. I think there's a misconception that we've wrestled with a lot, especially if you were born in the 80s and 90s, that thanks to Jerry Maguire, that we need someone to complete us. In our 30s, I'd like to hope that maybe we've gotten our head around that actually instead of trying to look for someone to complete us, we have to invest time into growing ourselves. And we don't require another human to complete us. Self-growth and a heightened sense of self-awareness is so much easier to do and to learn before you get yourself into a relationship. A lot of times, this void of extra time that we have can often make us feel lonely. I've been there. We've all been there. You already know that there are a lot of us here who are overthinkers. I actually think that being on your own makes it kind of worse because you don't have someone else to bounce ideas off or bounce thoughts off. You don't really have a person to express all of your feelings to. But we oftentimes try and be that person for ourselves, which means we have so many thoughts and feelings being bounced around in our head. I have a remedy for this, and this is a solution that has 100% helped me when I've been caught in a void of time where I feel alone and lonely and depressed and like, is this single season ever going to end? It's actually changed my life in quite a considerable way. It's pretty easy. Use this extra time that you have to learn something new. Now, don't laugh at this because I cannot tell you how much this has helped me. Start a new hobby. Pursue an interest that you've actually always wanted to pursue, but you've been too afraid to actually do it, or you were not sure what other people were going to think of you. I really can vouch that this works. I personally found diving deep into developing who I am extremely fulfilling, possibly more fulfilling than being in a relationship just to be in one. This is actually why I'm in front of you today. My background is computers, that's true, but it's more on the software engineering side. I knew nothing about cameras, about lighting, about video editing, about even making a video, about digital art, about writing scripts, photography, you name it. Everything to do with what I'm doing here and what I'm doing on like Instagram, I knew nothing about. It's all self-taught, and it has categorically changed my life for the better. And I don't think I would have had the time and the energy to put into this if I was in a relationship. So I'm taking advantage of the extra time that I have. Is there something you've always wanted to try? Then get up and do it. Maybe you've never felt brave enough. Well, let me be an encouragement to you that there is so much on the other side of your fear, including maybe an interest, a hobby, or a career that you never knew was possible. Dip your toe in the water. If you end up not liking a certain hobby or an interest, that's fine. You just move on, find something else, just try things. This next tip is to avoid, at all costs, comparing yourself and your journey to someone else's. Easier said than done. I think this is particularly difficult to do in your 30s. I know I've really struggled with this in the past, and sometimes I still do. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to break this habit of comparison. I literally just did a video about this the other week, and if you want to check it out, then make sure you click the link above. You are not defined by your relationship status. Let me say it louder for the people in the back. You are not defined by your relationship status, whatever it is. I know there's going to be a lot of people out there, older, younger, or even the same age as you, who will cast their judgments on you just for the fact that you are single in your 30s. You don't need to be around people like that. Please remember that everyone's journey is unique, and that comparing your journey to someone else's is very unproductive and oftentimes misleading, because you know what? The grass is not greener on the other side. It never is. Focus on your own path and finding joy in the journey. It's going to be a game changer. The most unhappiest people I know, and sometimes that unhappiest person has been me, the most unhappiest people I know are the people who race to get to the end as quickly as they can. They want to get to the end of every chapter of their life so fast just to get on to the next. But you know, they never actually stop to live in the moment they are in. And they are never really fully present in their own life. The joy is in the journey. Tip number 5. Prioritize self-growth and self-care. Engage in activities that promote your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. This can be things like exercise, volunteer work, and also therapy. Here's a very controversial thought. I think every single person in a relationship or not, no matter how perfect they are or how much they feel like their life is together, I think that every single person at some point in their life, and it's easier to do it when you're single, should have at least a few therapy sessions. And like I said, it's much better to do before marriage. Why, I hear you ask? Because counseling and therapy, they're a wonderful way, and maybe even one of the only ways. You have the opportunity in a very safe environment to get to know who you really are, your true self. Not the self you pretend to be to others, not the self that you like to think in your head that you are, your real self. It's so much better to have a professional speak into your life who can be objective. They will see and notice things that actually you will never be able to because you're not aware of them, and you probably don't even know what to look for. I speak from experience. As many of you know, I put myself through therapy for just over a year. It's the best thing I've ever done, and it has helped me heal parts of myself that I never knew were broken. It gave me a reality check of who I really am, how and why I react to different things, what my strengths are, what my weaknesses are, what my flaws are. And it's given me so much more self-awareness that I could never have achieved on my own. It has made me a whole person because I've gotten to know who Tori really is. I feel far more ready today for a long-term relationship than I ever have in my entire life because I finally know who I really am, and I would not have been able to achieve that if I hadn't gone through counseling. Click on this video right here to hear about this one habit that many of us, especially in our 30s, tend to do that's really limiting your potential in life.